Hello everyone, Ken here, the Watcher. You're watching the Watcher Chronicles. Today is Thursday, April 11th, 2019. And of course, most of you have heard by now that Julian Assange has been arrested at the Ecuadorian embassy, where he was leaned on, where they were leaned on by our deep state to revoke his asylum so he could be arrested and extradited to the United States, um, so that they can do to him what Mueller did to Manafort and Flynn and others, and make threats against him and family members and everything else, and accuse him of their crimes, and have their perpetrators of their crimes come in as witnesses and corroborate each other's testimony and accuse Julian Assange, so that when he tells the truth, just like Manafort, he becomes a liar. And that's what they intended to do to him. However, we're going to see, and it's hard to make predictions because we have to see. We're going to find out what Julian Assange is made of, and we're going to find out what William Barr is made of. So the next few months is going to be very critical. This case against Assange is going to let us know if Barr is just another establishment hack, Bush crony, or if he is an American patriot who's going to fight back against the deep state. So that's what we're going to find out. And of course, they're going to leverage everything they can against Assange. They're going to try to not allow William Barr to bring the truth out and to indict members of the deep state. This is going to be very interesting, because we all know that when people testify against, especially document crimes against the deep state, they end up, in the way of Vince Foster, shooting themselves and driving to a park somewhere and parking their car, So we're going to see what happens if he lives. I doubt he lives to testify. I look for him to hang himself in prison or something like that. But if he's protected, if Barr is on the right side and he gets him protected, it's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. And right now, you see the same people who were calling for the release of the unredacted Mueller report. You're going to see them demanding evidence from this Assange case. And what they try to do, like whenever they demanded the unredacted Mueller report, that's all about trying to intentionally violate the chain of evidence, chain of custody laws, so that they can render that evidence, as embarrassing as it may be to them, if they can bring it out in public, then it's no longer permissible in a court of law. It's tainted evidence. It's broken the chain of custody that's required by law to be secured until trial. You just can't leak that stuff legally. And which is why they're not really allowed to subpoena that type of information, because they're forcing it to be leaked and forcing the chain of custody to be broken. And that's why it's unconstitutional. So anyway, they'll try to do the same thing with Assange. They're going to try to force information to leak out so that it won't be permissible in court. They're going to try to go after him and accuse him of all the crimes of the deep state. And they're really, really scared about this Seth Rich thing coming out. They know he's got the goods. I just can't even see him living even... it looks like May 2nd is his hearing, his extradition hearing to the United States. If he even lives that long, I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised. There's no way Deep State's going to let him testify. He's got the goods on everybody. Republicans as well as Democrats. So it's hard to make a prediction because we don't know if he's going to live. And we don't know if Barr is going to come out and fight or whether he's just going to bury everything. Because, he's a Bush crony. And George W. Bush, he always believed, and he has said it in a lot of different ways, that the institution, the office, is greater than the individual. The institution of the federal government is greater than its employees. And he believed in burying government scandals to protect the institution of the government, George H.W. Bush. And William Barr is a crony of his. He's somebody who is going to protect the institution. Now, if that means clean it out, that's great. If it means bring justice to the deep state, that's great. If he's going to, but up until now, protecting the institution has meant bury all the crimes therein. So we'll see what Barr does. I think that nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's going to jail except a couple minor people they'll throw under the bus. And because they don't want the embarrassment to come out of how deep this corruption goes in this government. He's going to protect the institution. It's going to make it look like it's just a couple handfuls of players that were doing all the bad things. And we'll throw a couple people in jail and move on to other things. That's what I think. I hope Barr proves me wrong. I think George W. Bush, and I'm sure I saw at his dad's funeral when he came in, I saw him hurry up like he almost forgot. He hurried up and got a paper out of his pocket, out of his left coat pocket, as he was walking down that aisle. And when he turned, he leaned in front of President Trump and he shook Michelle Obama's hand. Now, everybody tried to make it look like he handed something to her because in a previous thing, he did hand something to her. And that was a decoy. That was pretty smart because he had already set up before the notion that he passes things to her. So he reached over, and as he reached over and shook her hand, I watched that video over and over again. I looked at everything in the video. As he reached over and shook Michelle's hand at his dad's funeral, he slipped President Trump a note in President Trump's right hand, and Trump quickly put it in his pocket. And it was just a couple days after that William Barr was appointed. So I think that, like a lot of people think, there was an alliance that was built between George W. Bush to Trump, where he wants to cooperate because his family, I believe the Bushes have been under blackmail for a couple decades by the deep state because he did oversee and he knows so much about what goes on in the CIA because Bush Sr. ran it. I believe the CIA, the FBI, and all of them turned around and blackmailed him when he became president and threatened to put everything on his shoulders, including the Kennedy assassination. I believe he was being blackmailed. I believe the Bushes have been being blackmailed. But you never know. I mean, I think they're power mongers too. They seem kind of cozy with the Clintons. That always bothered me. So maybe in that respect, But George W. Bush has really, he's handed the gauntlet to Donald Trump. He's saying he let him know what he's up against. And if he hires this guy, he appoints this guy, he'll protect him. He may not get all the revenge he wants against the people attacking him, but he'll get protection. And there won't be any baloney going on in the deep state because he's his dad's crony, and he's not going to let that bullcrap happen either way. He's not going to let the Republicans attack the Democrats or the Democrats attack the Republicans. He's going to protect the institution, which right now is falling. Right now is the institution of our federal government is collapsing into a muck and mire of corruption. And so if protecting the institution means cleaning house, that's great. So let's see. But it's hard to predict because you never know. I mean, you never know. The deep state's powerful. They have powerful secret enemies. The CIA's got their own whole assassination organization. So does Interpol, which manages the spies abroad. They got their own assassination organizations, and you never know. I mean, William Barr could go down in a plane accident. So it's tough. This is really bad. It'll take us getting into a war and having the authority to clean house while we're under cover of war is what it would take to clean out the deep state, and that could go either way also, because there's very powerful people in other countries that our deep state would like for us to get into a war so that they can execute a coup and overthrow the government. So we're in a breaking point in this country. We're in a breaking point. Either the Patriots are going to regain control, or the Trump administration is just a last speed bump before the fall of the country. We're just slowing it down a few years. And in the meanwhile, being used by God to fulfill the messianic Zionist prophecies, which are actually the false, the Antichrist. They think they're bringing the Messiah to power, and they're bringing the Antichrist. And Trump thinks he's helping the Jews. He's really helping bring forth the Antichrist. And I know a lot of patriots going to hate me for saying that Trump don't know he's being used by the devil, but I just call it as I see it. I have a gift to see these things, the spiritual. I can see the spiritual powers behind what goes on in this country, even in churches, but in the government, and in all things. When I was 10 years old, I was telling people that people hustling and bustling and busting their rear ends to build their dream for their family and themselves, they don't even know it, but they're building an empire for somebody else. I said that at the age of 10 back in 1978. I could see these things. I'm telling you, Trump's being used. He's being used by Kushner, who's one of the most demonic men I've ever seen in my life. If Kushner isn't the Antichrist, he's pretty darn close. He's like, second or third in line. I mean, he is powerfully demonic, Jared Kushner, and he's using Trump. And that's a whole other story for another time. But you'll see it all. You'll see it all go down. And we'll talk about this in another video. But as far as Julian Assange, we'll just have to wait and see, because at this point, it's hard to tell. It's so deep and so powerful, this corruption in the deep state. Just Trump and Barr, I mean, just a couple guys against the media, all the three-letter departments in the deep state, the Democratic Party, corporations. It's like Joe against a volcano. Even if they want to do the right thing, they might not be able to. So we'll just see what happens. Thanks for watching. Please, if you liked this presentation, hit like, subscribe and if it's available, hit notifications so that you can see more of my videos. And you're going to see a different perspective here. And you're going to say, oh, this guy, man, he's everybody else is all has got it figured out, but this guy, where's this guy? What rock is he hiding under? And I'm telling you, people don't have things figured out. Whether it comes to biblical prophecy, whether it comes to the what's going on in politics in this country or world politics, it's all an illusion. And the people who think that they're the anti-illusion experts, they're even more delusioned. And if not part of this psyop to pull the wool over everybody's eyes. But I can see, I know who the wolves are, and the wolves in sheep's clothing. I can tell by their rhetoric because I recognize the rhetoric of Satan. I know when he's deceiving people. And so just keep watching my videos. You're gonna hear things here that you never even heard before. And maybe even confirm some things that you've been suspicious about, but you feel like you're all alone. There's people out there, and you're probably my spiritual brothers. There's people who are out there who like, yeah, they're saying this, and it seems right, but man, just something doesn't feel right. And why am I the only one? It seems like I'm the only one that sees it different. Well, you stick with me, you'll find out, because you've got something that I also have, and it's a gift from God. So stay tuned here, and we'll see you later. Have a good night.